Hey everybody, this is I'm me back for another review. I just have this new microphone that I can use so you guys can hear what I'm saying. I have it plugged in my laptop. Check one two, check one two. I hope you guys can hear me, because hopefully this will help me because without this, I don't know if you're able to hear me or not. I'm too far away from my camera, and you guys can't hear me. So hopefully this microphone will help you listen to me better. Okay, so today's review is Wrath of Man, starring Jason Statham and directed by Guy Ritchie. um, sorry for the throat. I have really throat issues. A mystery is a mystery. It's about a mysterious wild-eyed new cash truck security guard played by Jason Statham surprises his co-workers during a heist in which he unexpectedly unleashes a precision skills. The crew is left wondering who he is and where he came from soon. The marksman's ultimate motive becomes clear as he takes dramatic and irrevocable steps to settle a score. Wrestling just enough stakes of its thin plot, Wrath of Man sees Guy Ritchie and Jason Statham reunite for a fun action-packed ride. This flashback-fueled revenge story takes a little time coming together, but Jason Statham fans in the mood for an action-packed, very violent film definitely won't be disappointed. Yeah, it was a good Jason Statham film. Not the best one, but it's still a good movie. It's a decent Jason Statham movie with action pack. That's why that's why he's called the Action Man. He plays H, right? Uh the guy who is taking a job in Fortico to be a cop. And basically, but his most intention is to find his son's killer. It all starts with the scene where they basically came, the truck driver and the guys in the truck and the guys you know these fake construction workers that are actual criminals on gunpoint to steal money from the truck. And then then you have another scene where before the incident happened, before the time where Jason H lost his kid in the middle of the of the gunpoint, you know and basically ended up left behind in the parking lot. As soon as those criminals came to him, he basically told him to get out the car. He tried to call his dad, but his dad wasn't answering. Talk about bad luck. And as soon as he was able to, you know, what what am I saying? Um, as soon as he was about to be shot at by the that crazy person, he was trying to stop him, and it was too late because he made it very late. His biggest mistake was parking at the wrong place. you know, but he didn't know that was going to happen. They didn't know there was going to be some execution next to him. You Yeah, he was shot 6 times, and then he was in the hospital, and then it's amazing that he survived. But unfortunately, his son did not, and then he has his wife who's about to leave him because she blames him for his death. And now his only intention was to find his son's killer and basically make him, get his vengeance, justice. Um, yeah, so this movie has a lot of packed action. It may not have the same like wit humor that Guy Ritchie films usually have, but have its exciting gunfights. um, it's overall good. Some portions of the storyline were confusing. For example, what is the relationship between the FBI and Jason's character? Um, let's see. Um, I actually went to this movie without seeing any trailers or knowing the plot too well. It was amazing without spoiling anything. It was super fun trying to figure out who the main character was when it was finally revealed. Very good acting from Jason. He's always bringing the he's always bringing the fire in this movie, and just like any other action film that he's been in, even though most of them kind of be repetitive at times. Never a dull moment. A lot of violence kept me on the edge of my seat till the very end. This is if it was a movie. This is if it was Taken, but rated R. I'm glad to see Guy Ritchie was able to return what he does best. Wrath of Man has like a very well written screenplay that will keep you at the edge of your seat. Jason Statham plays the lead role with the finesse and ranks with the best of the coolest, well worth watching. Um, Pretty dark though. Isn't much humor from Statham, but he does tough, strong, silent really well. You know, um, it was like a nice action shoot 'em up with some who who the unit thriller thrown in. Not as well made as Nobody, but just enjoyable. Um, you know, I think my favorite part of this film is when the robbers came around and started kidnapping this guy named Bullet, and basically I find out that they basically want money from the truck, and then they get mad that it's not placed on the truck, on the trunk. It's placed on the floor, and then they start getting mad. And then I realized that you got this Post Malone dude being one of those robbers, and then he ended up. And then you realize that this guy was too badass to follow their shitty orders. So basically, they shot him dead, each and every one of them. And then you got this punk fucking running away from him and stuff, and then he ends up getting shot. And he's like saying, he asked him, say, "What do you work for? What do you work for?" And he's like, "S my effing D." And he said, and he replied, "S your own D." And then he shot him and dead. I thought that was the only funny part of the movie. you know, that's the only part where I started to laugh. After that, I didn't find any of this shit funny anymore. It got more personal after that scene. Entertaining movie, plenty of action. Like the only problem I had with the was the pacing. Great in the beginning, slows down in the middle, picks up back up again at the end, and just not as much as the beginning. um, yeah, I'm trying to find a way. I don't know what else to say about this. A first-rate action thriller from Guy Ritchie. Jason Statham has like a mysterious agent working undercover to break up like a robbery ring specializing with hidden cash, transport trucks. Statham plays like a character, not only working this assignment, but has a personal score to settle to. Turns out a group of disaffected ex-soldiers have gone rogue and decided to put their deadly skills to work robbing these trucks. Scott Eastwood, younger son of Clinton, He appears as one of the bad guys. The plot is layered and requires attention throughout. As a Richie backs the story up, moves it forward, back again, and then brings on the climatic battle at the end as H and Eastwood face off. The suspense is gripping, even though you can kind of figure out what will eventually happen. It's still worthwhile to hang on to finish the rides. Yeah, so it's basically a revenge plot. To be honest with you, I literally thought when I first saw this, I thought he was not going to get his revenge. I thought the bad guy would have lived and did what he wanted after that. But he got his revenge by a surprise ending. It's very different to see Jason Statham play in this movie. This movie was really good and worth watching. Jason Statham was great in the lead character seeking revenge for the death of his son, and the overall storyline was well crafted. You know, um, people that saying that it's the best, it's not the best. It's kind of like good to me, but not that great. You know what I'm saying? The plot is what we knew thousands of times, and the mixture of heist, like the previous Army of the Dead, but this is like way better and well made. Starts like action comedy, but then getting more and more dark as new elements of the story introduced, full of suspense, gripping the entire time, intense. Two stories in parallel that come together. Somewhat predictable portrayals and twists felt a bit dark at times. Satisfying ending, not a huge amount of action, but a solid storyline that keeps us on edge. Jason Statham is perfectly fitting for the role of mysterious badass character. Negative is predictability, age-old plot. In all, it's a solid action thriller that is no masterpiece, but it's still a watchable movie. Definitely, I actually consider this movie a guilty pleasure of mine. It's not perfect, but it's not perfect, but it's actually something I can see what I can watch from time to time. That I don't get tired of. You know, there's still other Jason Statham movies I haven't seen that came out recently, like The Beekeeper, and getting its new sequel coming out. Yeah, I should check it out. I should check it out sometime. But this is one of the only newer Jason Statham movies I've seen. I've seen a lot of his movies. I've seen the Transporter trilogy, Crank. I've seen those movies before. I thought those movies were a lot more action packed than this one. Anyway, this is my review for Wrath of Man. Hope you all enjoy it. Stay tuned for more videos.